So, if you are confused about why we went cuckoo, it is to do with yesterday's sunset safari. Of course, I'm Brent Leo Smith, and I'm very fortunate, very privileged to have the second member of the Killer Bees on the vehicle with the thumb, who's all business today, wearing a tie. He's a happy thumb, not a tired thumb. He's very happy because it's so beautiful this morning. There's not a cloud in the sky, and it's going to be exquisite. And it's going to be an exquisite morning for birding. Of course, we're looking for big cats. I have a secret subplot today, and that is the subplot of the cuckoo. So, if you don't understand what's going on, yesterday we managed very briefly to get a great spotted cuckoo on camera, and it flew off before it came to us. Now, that is not a very common cuckoo, and we tried to look for cuckoos for the rest of the drive, and of course, we only heard them. Every cuckoo decided it didn't want to be on camera. So the deal is, until we put a cuckoo on camera, every now and then Brian and I will randomly go cuckoo. Now that's very exciting because there are lots of cuckoos that have arrived. This little bit of rain we've had over the last while means the caterpillars are flush all over the trees, and that is of course a cuckoo's favorite food. So we've only seen a black cuckoo and an African cuckoo on camera. We've heard a thick-billed, a Classes, a Deirdrix, a Jacobin, a great spotted. Am I missing? I think I might be missing one. Oh, red-chested. And we haven't heard a European because a European is silent in Africa, but they might be around. So, of course, we're going to look for the incredible Inkahumas, but while we're doing that, we're going to keep our eyes peeled for any avian cuckoos that might be around. And I'm very excited because, I don't know, those of you who follow my Instagram and Facebook will notice I put up a picture. I put up a picture of a cheetah. What is a cheetah, Brian?
It is a kingfisher.
Yes, it is the woodlands kingfisher. Now, when they arrive, you hear the first one go choo-choo, and then by about 5 days later, the whole bush is going choo-choo, 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 everywhere. And they are one of our favorite birds. They're very beautiful, very noisy, and they're intra-African migrants that come down and breed in this area. And they're often, actually, they are literally everywhere when they're around. So I've put my date for the arrival or the first hearing of a woodlands kingfisher to the 31st of October. Brian, when do you think they will arrive?
3rd of November.
Brian says the 3rd of November.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting to see what Jamie and Dave say when we go across to them to say hello. When is their date? Final control, I request that you write down these dates. And I've been wrong once. Brian, you've also been wrong this year with the rain.
I was off by like a day.
That doesn't matter, you were wrong. You were wrong. Brian's was the 3rd of November. I'm the 31st of October. And of course, James and Taylor will be back on Sunday. So they'll probably be on drive Monday morning. So we'll also get their dates once they're back. And so mine was the 31st of October. And Brian's the 3rd of November. Now, guys, keep these dates. Pop them there. Store them. Add your own date. And we'll see who is right. Now, I really don't like being wrong. And I was wrong on the rain. And Brian, even if you're off by a day, you were still wrong. A day is as good as a year.
I was closer than you, though.
It doesn't matter. A day is as good as a year. But anyway, let's go find out from Jamie and Dave when the date they think the beautiful Hallucin senegalensis, aka the woodlands kingfisher, will be calling and arriving in the beautiful wonderland of Djuma.
And a very good morning to all of you, and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. For those of you joining us for the first time, my name is Jamie, and this morning, I'm just going to turn Brent down. He's very loquacious on the radio today. And this morning I have Dave on camera with me. Right, well, it seems as though Brent has not only gone cuckoo for cuckoos, but he has also laid down a challenge to work out when the woodlands kingfishers are returning once again to our shores. Okay, now the problem is, usually we get a little bit of inside information because they hit some of the reserves that both of us have worked on, they usually arrive there first and then arrive here the next day. Now, both of us would usually have an internal source of information. But, of course, now we have to lay down a bet before that happens. So, Brent said October the 31st. Impala crossing. Nobody, she's not running from you just because... No. Shame. These poor Impala. Oh, hold on. Anybody else? Yes, one more. I'm stalling. I'm trying to think. Oh my goodness, more Impala. Shame. The males have been chasing the females, running them ragged at the moment. And it's not breeding season, and it's not even birthing season, so it's not even the false rut. So I'm not quite sure what the deal is there. I don't know if the weather's confusing them. Right, and on that note, right, so here we have to toss up a few things. When they arrived last year, and the fact that it's been very dry this year, Brent has said the 31st. I'm going to say the... Ooh, am I going to be brave and go with a late arrival? And say the 2nd of November. Oh, Brian said the 3rd of November. Now I'm saying the 2nd. I nearly said the 3rd, weirdly enough. Okay, so... Ooh, that's quite a striking image. I think I'm going to say the 2nd of November. Dave, what would you like to guess at? You're going to go with the 5th of November. Now, Dave, of course, before we chat about this beautiful silhouette of the hulking vulture, Dave, of course, was the one who won the rain bet. Yes, you were, Downpour Dave. He predicted that we would get over 20 mils on his birthday, which was, what was it again, 18th of September, which is incredibly early, and somehow he won that bet, which is wonderful. Right, white-backed vulture that's been here for, bizarrely, for the last 3 or so days. Actually, every time I've gone towards Karula, I've found this vulture sitting on this tree. I don't know if it's got a nest somewhere nearby, perhaps, or perhaps it's just a popular spot, because of course the scavenging birds of prey have had tremendous good luck over the last few days, last few weeks, in that the Nkuhumas have been around making kills and leaving them plenty to snack on. So they've had lots and lots of buffalo to feed themselves up. One bird for whom the drought has been a serious advantage, unlike our woodlands kingfishers and our cuckoos. For the vultures, it has been a season of plenty. There's nothing quite so striking as a vulture sitting on a dead tree. And they, of course, do that because they're big, bulky birds, not bulking, that's not a word. Big, bulky birds, which means that flying takes a great deal of energy and is often done with very little aplomb initially when they take off or land. So a dead tree makes sense because there's no leaves or sticks or anything to get in their way. Sometimes, though, it comes with the disadvantage of the possibility of the branch breaking, which I've seen many, many times. They go into land, and the branch disappears beneath them, and they have to do some mad flapping to try and stay airborne. I've seen fish eagle do it as well. I think I've seen it I think we've filmed it live before. The odd misplaced step. Right, and speaking of misplaced steps, let's go and see if we can find Karula. Let's keep our fingers crossed she's still there. I'm so about whether or not she's still going to be there. Most of the Impala's been finished. Oh dear, Dave, have you got something on your lens? Oh dear, is this a spider web? Here we go, Dave's just doing some housekeeping quickly. Oh, that's on my monitor. I was about to say, there's a big splodge there, but that's on my monitor. Right, so we're going to go and see Karula. If she is not there, and if her tracks lead us to the south of our boundary, our traverse area, then we're going to go and do a hyena den check. And the reason we're going to go and do a hyena den check is because yesterday on the sunset safari, which I didn't mention, because I was too scared to get my hopes up, Mike actually called in that there was a female hyena covered in dirt, like she'd been excavating, right next to the Galago shortcut den. Could just be she'd come from a carcass and maybe it was just a little bit dirty. As you know, hyenas are, well, they're not the cleanest of creatures, and they're quite happy to go and lie down in a stinking mud wallow. So that's a possibility, but I still think it's worth doing a hyena den check and finding out what we can along the way. Maybe even a cuckoo for Brent. I'm just checking carefully for tracks. For our new viewers, Karula, and throwing Dave off the back of the vehicle over a bump. Sorry, Dave. For our newer viewers, Karula is a female leopard, and if you haven't been watching over the last few days, I am so sorry, because you've missed out on some truly spectacular scenes with Karula and her two cubs playing beautifully. Yesterday morning was absolutely spectacular before we had to race back because it was raining. And let us hope we have more of those moments in store. This is one of Karula's favorite spots. We're just about to go in now, so we'll see whether or not there's anything left. This is one of Karula's spots, and one of the reasons behind that, it's got a particularly high density of Impala. It's also possible that if she's not still with that kill, which might be nearly finished, there is a chance she still managed to kill again. Ah, yes, she's there. Hey. Yeah. Might not be the best view we've ever had. She's on the marula tree. Tell you what, let's go in before we try and show you this in an awkward way. It's my fault. I got so overexcited. How wonderful. Nice and cool this morning. Hopefully the cubs are out and about playing. Yesterday, Shungile actually stalked the car. She came right up to the wheel. Not stalking to come into the car, just curious. And I'm hoping she might give us a display of that behavior again, because she's done it to me twice now. We're just going around the corner. Karula's right here. Oh, so are the Impala. Have they realized that she's there? She doesn't look too interested, though. I'm just quickly assessing the situation in case I need to stop and switch off. But it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like she's too bothered. I suppose an Impala in the tree is worth two in the bush. Okay, let's go nice and slowly. These little cubs have a habit of popping up where you least expect them. Okay, I've got one. Oh, I've got two. Hello. Good morning, little girl. There's Impala there. Yes. So this is, for our new viewers, this is Shungile. She is 8.5 months old, and she is Karula's little girl. Oh, and the alarm calls of the Impala tell me that they've spotted the leopard. She's still a little bit fuzzy around her back. What's that, girl? They might be a little bit too big for you. I know you've got big ambitions, but maybe not just yet. Still got a little bit of growing to do. Our Shungile yesterday was absolutely phenomenal. The carcass was actually hanging out of the tree, which meant it was really difficult to feed upon. And what she was doing, it was difficult for both of them, both Hosanna and Shungile, but she'd actually worked out that if she braced herself against a branch and reached forward with her claws, she could hook her front feet into it and then pull backwards. That amazing body strength. Oh, is it exhausting? Yes, I know. That amazing body strength that leopards are famous for. And actually, that was what allowed her to feed. It was an impressive display of strength and problem solving. She tried to pull it up and then realized that the horns were going to sort of keep thwarting her. And on her way to mom and brother. Let's just let her get a little bit ahead before we reposition, just so that we don't startle her as we come past. Although these cubs are wonderful in that they are so used to vehicles. Hello. Look at that little face. Watching his sisters approach. Another big yawn. My goodness. Such bright, curious eyes, staring up into the tree. I love that expression. Both of them, look at them. Waiting for Mom to drop a scrap, perhaps. Alright, we're going to reposition, loop around so that we've got a view of the whole family, Karula included, who's in the top of the marula. And while we do that, let's head across to Brent to find out how his morning is going.
Cuckoo! No cuckoos yet. But we are in the area where the Inkahumas were yesterday. So I'm just checking for tracks. Oh dear. Oh, we can hear Jamie. Karula is in the same place. And we are working on getting our comms sorted. There's one lioness track going north there. Let's see, but there's no cub track, so I'm pretty sure they've abandoned what is left of that small buffalo they had in the drainage line or in the little dry river system. Fingers crossed. And let's go look where those tracks go. Oh, there we go. Let's just check a little bit further on the boundary. Now we haven't heard a cuckoo yet. Let's switch off. Now, last night there was some very interesting lion audio. So we heard what sounded like the one male who was with the pride here. Then I would guess it sounded like two males that were on their way up here. And then right in the distance, I mean, you could barely hear it. Jamie and I were sitting outside looking right to the stars. It was very beautiful last night. And we just heard this. Now, was it a Birmingham? Or was it new males coming from Kruger? That was really far to the east. And then all of a sudden, this male and the other two males, it sounded like they were coming here. And we just listened to them as they moved further and further east to where that call was coming from the distance. Now, I would love to understand lion. Was it a Birmingham saying, guys, help, more males coming from Kruger. Bugger, I'm by myself, help. And then the other three charged off in that direction. Oh, hello. Although the Impala being a bit ridiculous this morning with their schnorts, on quarantine we had them snorting at a diker. Yes, you don't look too worried. What are you snorting at? Now there's always a chance of the old man in this area. Mvula has been seen in Buffelshoek Hook to the north of us, but quite close to where we are sitting at the moment. I think that was a fake snort. I think it was a snort because there's no clouds. Or it was snorting at us because we haven't seen any cuckoos. Okay, let's carry on. Now I've got my coffee this morning. It's quite wonderful. Speaking of coffee, now there's lots of places in the world that are famous for coffee. If we think about them, Brazil, Colombia. It's more famous for other stuff, but we won't get into that. What other countries, when you mention the word coffee, do you think of, Brian?
Morocco.
Morocco is actually a good one, yes. And coffee in Morocco is only grown on the Atlas Mountains, where they get. Copy, thanks, Oz. There's an Conzo of one side you're heading north. Oh, quickly across to Jamie.
This is absolutely amazing. A little dake has just stumbled into the sighting. It's completely unaware that it is being seriously stalked, not by Karula, but by Hosanna. Now this would be, that would be seriously impressive. Oh, it's turning round. Is he going to go for it? It's a big ask of an 8-month-old leopard cub. Not impossible, but it would be very, very unusual, and I don't think he'd know what to do if he did catch it. But Mom could go racing down the tree to help him. Okay, it's moving off. I thought he was going to go for it at one point. He's flat against the ground. He's still watching it. In the meantime... Oh, look, there he goes. He's going to pop out soon. He's going to pop out on the right of that marula. Look at that tail. Just like his mom while he's hunting. Something that he's going to have to learn to master, or it's going to give him away. The daker still doesn't know that he's there. But the daker has sensed movement. I know that you can't see it, but I can. And it's watching in his direction. So it knows something's moving, but it hasn't worked out whether to run yet or not. Oh, gone. Oh well, it was a good effort, Hosanna. That was a brave attempt. The cubs are not yet ready to start hunting things and to start catching and killing things. Maybe something small, something like a scrub hare or a mongoose would definitely be within their capabilities. Look at Shongile looking with disdain across at her brother. They would be capable of catching small things, but a deka is almost an impossibility at this stage. I've heard rumours of 9-month-old leopard cubs, and Tiani comes to mind, stalking and catching, or at least killing Impala. I'm not entirely sure that that's not quite an exaggerated story. Hello, mister. Was that quite unsuccessful? But that's all essential practice for the days when they are big enough to catch something like a deka. Learning to creep up softly, softly. And as Shongile looks up at her mom, waiting for her chance to go up the tree and have some breakfast, and speaking of their... oh, look at those sharp predator teeth. Very scary. Michael, you wanted to know, because we did see Hosanna with a scrub hare kill, and you wanted to know if, because we haven't seen one since, if that is because... Just leopard. Sorry. Distraction. She's pulling such funny faces. You wanted to know if that's because Karula's been providing so well, or is it because we just haven't seen it? I think it's because we just haven't seen it, personally. I think probably both cubs have made 1 or 2 kills, their first few kills. Of course, we never really knew if it was Hosanna that killed it or if it was Karula. Oh, she is gorgeous. You two, can you come do that this side of the marula tree, please? I don't really want to reposition. I think we've got the best seat in the house. We've just got to sit patiently and wait for them to make another, there we go, reappearance. So, Michael, I think it's just we haven't seen them. And we haven't been around to witness it. Ooh, there's some serious growling. Ooh, she's cross. But too much. Her brother's much bigger than her, and she just seriously hissed at him. It's all fun and games until someone ends up in tears, or in sort of the leopard equivalent, hissing at each other. And he is so much bigger than her. Yes, take your frustrations out on that bush. Oh, look at this marking. Scraping his feet. Isn't that incredible? That's adult behavior that he's demonstrating and he's imitating. Oh, now he's got a stick. That urine spraying and then foot scraping is imitation behavior based on what he's... Well, actually, it's probably more instinct, because he probably isn't with his mom. Ooh, somebody scored something. I'm so glad they're still here. Just that extra bit of time spent with them. Now are you going to try and see if you can get something? It's fascinating watching all of our little babies grow up, in terms of particularly the cubs, but I suppose all youngsters, but we spend more time with cubs, whether they be lion, leopard or hyena. And what's fascinating about it is to watch them learning the adult behaviors, and how much of it is instinctive and how much of it is learned behavior. Things like phlegm and grimacing, so that snarling face that all animals pull when they are smelling a particularly interesting scent, lifting up their top lip and exposing their teeth. See cubs at a tiny age doing it. The anal pasting hyena cubs, learning to whoop. And then these little ones stalking and then scent marking and scraping their feet. I think that was a deliberate display of dominance of the little boy over the little girl. What's there? What's there? Did Mom drop something? It's interesting that with the three of them, does that smelly drip spot, is that nice to roll in? That's where all of the bits of the Impala have dripped down onto the floor, and that obviously is a wonderful spot to have a good roll, cover oneself in the scent of breakfast. What I was going to say is it's interesting that the few times we've seen them recently, they've always been feeding separately. We haven't seen them feeding. I personally haven't seen them feeding together. It's either Mum or one of the two cubs that's eating in one go. They all seem to take turns. I think it's just possibly the position the kills have been in. I've no doubt they have eaten all together while we haven't been watching. I think it's just the position that the kills are in, and the fact that they're now growing. The competition. Oh, Sana comes sprinting in. And a very warm welcome. Hold on, she's going to pounce on him. She's going to get her revenge. She's going to go again. Yo! You go, girl. I love watching them play like this. Sorry, I'm distracted by the gambling cubs. Oh, cross again. Look at that face. She looked like Karula there. And she snarled at him. I think she's going to go again. No, she's not. So a very warm welcome. Oh, hold on. We can't take our eyes off this. To Eli Green. And Eli, you wanted to know how often a leopard needs to eat. I'm sorry, Eli. I know you are new to our live safaris, and it is fantastic to have you, but these cubs are just being so thoroughly entertaining. Look, Shangila has learned to stand on her back legs. It's too gorgeous. Looking up at Mum in eager anticipation of when she decides to finish off. Right, Eli, my apologies. Welcome to these live safaris, and I do hope you become as addicted as most people seem to. You wanted to know how often a leopard needs to eat. It's roughly once every 3 to 4 days, but that's slightly different when you've got a situation like this with two growing cubs. And Karula's been a fantastic mom and provider. She's caught 2 adult impala and 1 daker in the last 4 days. She's been particularly impressive, and her cubs, as a result, are very round-bellied, happy, and healthy, and in fine spirits. Getting rid of some of that excess energy that Mom has provided. So it depends on what they've killed as well, and whether it's a male or a female. Obviously, with males, they are much, much larger, which is why already we're seeing such a size difference between these two. Male on the right, female on the left. Doesn't stop Shongile from causing nonsense. Grappling with each other. Always pulling their punches. At 8 months old, they are more than capable of hurting each other, but they don't. Oh, there might be the odd scratch or nick or nip that hurts a little bit, but for the most part, the claws are not used to their full extent. Oh, blonk. He just swiped her back leg out from under her. And the teeth are bared, but not really utilized. So it's just fun and sparring. Bop. Ha ha. Oh, she's got this figured out. Oh! Look at her hissing. You can actually hear her. Oh, we are phenomenally lucky to witness something like this. Fighting over a bit of bone that's fallen on the ground. Yesterday we actually saw Mom joining in the games, and I'm hoping at some point she might descend and come and join them. Oh my goodness, you are full of the joys of spring this morning. Hosana's all over the place. Oh, and Shogile has got that hopeful expression on her face again. She just got such a fright. It was because her brother's tail twitched. Look at this. Getting ready to pounce again. He's distracted. She's going to get him. How was that intercept on his part? Massive leap. Situations like this, you actually don't know where to look. Good morning to Christopher. Lovely to have you on the Sunrise Safari. You wanted to know what age these cubs will separate from each other and go off on their own. I'm sure you can imagine, it's a slightly gradual process. So there's often longer and longer periods of separation before both coming back together again around Mom. But because they are this gender mix, because there's one female and one male, it'll mean that their separation happens slightly earlier. And that's because, and we can already see it in Shongile's behavior, it's because the females show slightly more independence slightly earlier than the males. Males tend to be mommy's boys, if I can describe it that way. That's just their natural behavior, which makes sense, because they've actually got a far more dangerous existence once they do leave their mothers. So it makes sense that they stick around for as long as possible, get as much growing done, so that when they do become independent, they'll be at a better advantage. So Shongile will probably leave it around between 18 months, maybe closer to 2. It just depends on her personality, but females do usually become independent sooner. Oh, you hear that thump? It just hit the deck so hard. And Hosana, the little male, will be independent around 2, but he'll probably still hang around Mom for even longer than that. So both of them have to establish themselves, establish territories. But Hosana's life is going to be tougher. The life of male animals out here often generally is, just in terms of competition with other males. Which is why these skills that he's learning with his sister will one day serve him very well. Like, beware the leopard back foot. It'll come out of nowhere and smack you. Ooh, Shogile, you thoroughly pinned. The tail's twitching. And beware where you leave your tail. An irresistible lure to all cubs. Whether they be lions or leopards, there's nothing quite like a flicking tail to attract their attention. James Richard, I 100% agree with you. The cubs are now out in the open more often. They're braver, they're more confident in their abilities to leap up trees when they need to. They're completely comfortable around us in the vehicles. After 6 months of solid viewing them, we've got to that point where we're as much a part of their landscape and reality as, well, maybe not quite the trees and the grass and the termite mounds, but almost. And James is absolutely right, and I'm sure you're all feeling the same way, that we're really starting to get an idea of characters here. Their characters are developing and coming through really nicely. And some of that, of course, is gender-driven, but some of that is just the uniqueness of individual big cats. I'm going to sit here for as long as possible and just be amazed at the scene in front of us. And while these two tussle, let's go and see how Brent's cuckoo search is going.
Cuckoo! The Nkume search is quite sad. For the second time in a month. And what date are we now? 15th. Month and a half. For only the second time in a month and a half, the Nkumes have left us. They've gone to the north. They've gone to Buffelshoek. It's quite sad. Now, of course, there's always a chance that there's a Birmingham boy patrolling. But as I said, I heard them calling. I think they've either gone off to war on the Kruger boundary, or they've gone off to mate on the Kruger boundary. So a very interesting development, and of course it's one that we don't get to see too much of, or actually at all, is that the Birminghams are now in charge of a third pride of lions called the Torchwood Pride. And the majority of the time they are in the Kruger. And one of the Birminghams has been spending a lot of time with them and mating with them, but right on the Kruger National Park boundary. So on the positive note, the lions heading to the north releases us for our search of the cuckoos. So that's what we're going to do. And sunbirds. It's beautiful light. I want to see the metallic sheen of a sunbird on camera today. And I think while Jamie has got those lovely leopards all wrapped up in her hand, Brian, should we bird this morning?
Yes,
Let's bird. Let's bird. Let's bird. Okay. Top right of that dead tree, there is a sunbird. Ooh, ooh. Now that's going to be a difficult one to identify, but it's not. There we go. Very distinct. White-bellied sunbird. Now we saw an incredible white-bellied sunbird on drive a few days ago. That some of the white-bellied sunbirds have yellow shoulders. And I've never seen them in the Sabi Sands before, but we got one on drive the other day while we were tracking lions. And so there we go. The first of our birds for the morning, the white-bellied sunbird. Not the best visual of a white-bellied sunbird due to how far he's sitting up against the sky. And we had a question from Bill about migratory birds. Sorry, Bill, I was very distracted by the sunbird. So I'm going to, hopefully Final Control is going to tell me again. Now that is a very good question by Bill. Absolutely, and it's actually an excellent question. Well done, Bill. Bill would like to know, do migratory birds tend to have a more melodic call than the birds that are resident? And do the birds actually change their call from in the different areas that they migrate to? Now, so you got to look at it as generally as the species that migrate here to mate. I wouldn't call it more melodic, but definitely more profound. It's louder. They're looking for females. Now the same works with the resident birds when they're looking for mating. And some of the cuckoo calls, I don't think you can call them melodic, but they're definitely what's the word I would say? Pronounced. Now, for me, one of the more interesting ones is, and I've only noticed it in this area, is the great spotted cuckoo. I know I've been harping on about cuckoos, but there we go. I actually even got it. Let me just turn that on. So we get both calls here, but this is the more common great spotted cuckoo call. And we hear that, and then so far, according to my research, that one is only really heard in the low veldt. They don't do that doo doo anywhere else. So in Zimbabwe, in Botswana, you hear this. Now we've got to wait for it to go all the way through to get to that. And the funny thing is, it's so rare on the recording. They've only got it twice. Yesterday we heard a great spotted cuckoo do it about 25 times in a row. That one. And that's how I knew it was a great spotted cuckoo when we started looking for it. But I wouldn't say it's more melodic. They're probably more frequent as well, because they are looking for mates for the mating species that have come down here to mate. Now, a perfect example, where's my hat? The sun is quite bright, is the European cuckoo that doesn't mate here. And it comes basically down here to take advantage of the caterpillar flush that happens after the rains. So they mate during the opposite season in Europe. And while they're in Africa, they're silent, because they're not trying to draw attention to themselves. They're not trying to procreate. So it's quite interesting. So I wouldn't say they're more melodic. And also, I think we notice them more because they're not here for 6 months of the year, and then suddenly they are. So it's quite an interesting one. So very good question. Thanks for that, Bill. Hello, Impalalas. You must be happy the Nkuhumas have gone north and Karula is sitting pretty on a kill. Yeah, there's a nice big male Impala. He's looking a bit ragged. He's quite old. I don't think he's going to last out the year. And if we look at the females to the right, they are starting to show signs of pregnancy quite heavily. Look at that little rotund belly. Ooh! What date is the first baby Impala? Ooh, that's a good one. I think we're going to have to think about that for a while before we start putting numbers down. Keeping FC busy. Oh, since we're birding, let's just get it out of the way. One of our more common bird species. And you could hear him making a bit of noise there, just off to the left. There he is. The fork-tailed drongo. Now, the drongo is a member of the flycatcher family, and one of the more industrious birds, often found following any form of animal out here, taking advantage of anything disturbed. They're also very aggressive birds, probably the most aggressive of the small birds, and you often find them bombing any predatory birds. He just looks busy. Looks like he's on his game. You see that head flicking around, searching for something to fight with or something to eat. Bye, little drongo. Now, the bird that is most easily confused with a fork-tailed drongo, slightly more slender built, is the African black flycatcher. The tail doesn't quite have the same fork in it. Now, of course, in other parts of South Africa, you get more than one drongo species. You also get a square-tailed drongo. So, I've never seen, I'm trying to think if I've seen one in the Sabi Sands. I might have. Let me just check their distribution quickly. But now, where I lived in Gabon, we had, yes, oops. So, we see quite a, so you see, so there we go, we are in this white patch. So what this tells me about the square-tailed drongo, and I wasn't sure whether I'd seen them. So there's Kruger along that there. So they're sticking to the misbelt regions. Now misbelt is wonderful. I love misbelt. So coastal and misbelt, so up into the eastern highlands of Zimbabwe, and it's a lot more moist, a lot more rain, and you get misbelt forest, and it is a great fan of lots of different bird species. So that's gone away. And so strangely enough, Hoedspruit, where I live, is on the edge of that. So we've got the Drakensberg Mountains. We live on the edge, and literally all you do is need to go about a kilometer, and it changes completely. So on the low-lying levels of the Drakensberg Mountains, you have a wonderful area, as I said, called the Misbelt, and the Misbelt Forest. And in the Misbelt Forest is where you find the fork-tailed drongos in this part of the world. Now, in KwaZulu-Natal, you see them all over the place because it's coastal, so you'll find them wherever there's wet savanna. So what we live in here is actually mostly dry savanna. For example, the Lowveld, or even let's just take, because it's close, Hoedspruit and the edge of the Drakensberg Mountains. So your average rainfall here is about 350 mils a year. On the edge of the Drakensberg, it's 450 to 600. So of course, lots of different trees. You get magnificent yellow woods and stink woods and all sorts of things. And so you have a much greater bird diversity around those areas. Now I know I'm harping on about trees, and hopefully we're going to find some birds in the tree, but let's go across to Jamie, who's got a mammal in a tree.
I have a different mammal in the tree, in this case Shungile, who's jumped up to take her mother's place. Her mom, before she gets there, her mom is on her way to go and fetch her errant son, and you won't believe what he just chased, and he disappeared for ages. He chased a group of banded mongoose. I have seen banded mongoose out here 3 times in my entire time on Djuma, and this last time was the shortest sighting I've ever had, because Hosanna chased them away very, very fast. He went in with a serious lack of flair, like a bull in a china shop. He didn't even try and stalk them. He just went racing at them like a cat amongst the pigeons. And as a result, they have all scattered, and he disappeared for a long time, till Karula got concerned and started calling him back. I don't know how far he chased them. I didn't want to follow him, just in terms of crashing after a running cub through the bushes. It's just it wouldn't have been ideal. I didn't want to do that to him, but he's made his way back safely, and he's now reunited with Mum, and Shungile is taking advantage of her brother's lapse in attention. Found her spot and feeding off what little remains of this poor hapless Impala that Karula managed to catch. I mean, this is a full-grown Impala ram. She's done very, very well. All that's left really is the neck and a little bit of the head. Here comes Karula's on her way back. Oh no, wait, that's not Karula. Jeepers, they're getting big. Sure. Getting so big. My mistake, it's the little boy. Hosanna on his way back, the conquering hero returns. So did that not work out for you, mister? You chased away the mongoose species we hardly ever see. Well, for new viewers, the banded mongoose, as I said, I've seen 3 times here on Djuma. We never get to see them. They're very, very shy, which is actually unusual for banded mongoose in my experience, but out here they're very shy. We see the dwarf mongoose all the time, and we see white-tailed relatively regularly, but the banded and slender, but the banded mongoose is a rare sight indeed. Oh well, and perhaps I don't think they're going to come back, actually. I was about to say perhaps they'll come back. I doubt it. I don't think they're going to come back to face the risk of leopard cubs barreling after them. It was very apt, considering we were talking about the hunting skills of the leopards. What you watching? What have you seen? Oh, thanks, Brent. Andrew was trying to call me. Brent stepped in and taken it for me. Wonderful. What are you doing? Oh, that was just a plan of how she was going to get over the Impala and around. She's looking at Mum. I wonder if what Mum's doing. I can't see. I think she's probably gone to settle down in the shade and sleep off one very full belly. And now it's Shungile's turn for breakfast. Tucking in and crunching through. Now, Lauren, good morning, and as always, welcome to the Sunrise Safari. You wanted to know, when Karula leaves her cubs, how often will they actually move away from where she's left them, and as a result, ooh, careful little one, this could go either way. How often do you think they've moved away and she has to go looking for them? I don't think at this point they ever are exactly where she left them, particularly the female, but I mean, I've seen Hosanna go on his own mission far away, walking all the way down a drainage line, climbing up a jackalberry tree, causing much concern to his mom when she called him, and he just didn't respond at all and didn't pop out. So I think both of them are ready little explorers, but that being said, their instinct tells them not to go too far away. They will stay within calling distance so that when Mom returns to where she's left them, all she has to do is sit down and make that croaking calling sound that leopards do to call their cubs. And it does sound a little bit like a frog. But she'll call them out and they'll come through. But they do. And Shungile is going to give us a couple of heart palpitations, I think, in the future. Because there's going to be a stage where she's going to start wandering further and further afield. And we might enjoy a few sightings of just Karula and Hosanna, or the other way around. But most likely Shungile will be the missing one. And it's going to terrify us, but it's just all part of the natural process of her learning to be independent and wandering further and further afield. But prepare yourself for the moment where she does give us a bit of a scare, but chances are she's going to be absolutely fine. These cubs have learnt well from their mother, and she's equipped them with the best possible start in life. Her eyes are still brown, but they haven't kept that colour that they had initially. All hail the conquering hero. He returns. How did your mongoose chasing go? Have you burnt off a little bit of Impala energy now? Or now you're hungry again? Sitting patiently, waiting his turn, waiting for his sister to finish. So it's still a tricky spot for these cubs. This hasn't been the easiest Impala kill that they've ever had to consume. I think it's that branch has stymied a lot of their efforts in terms of where Karula's put it. What now, girl? How are you going to do this? But it has been, for us, hugely entertaining to watch them learn to problem solve. Like that. Now you've tied the Impala to the tree. Very clever. Now what? Well, that's not falling out any time soon, so maybe there was more sense than I realized there. Look at that, she's actually... I don't think it was intentional, but she has actually physically wrapped the Impala skin around the branch. You clever girl. Oh. Ooh, that was very limber. Deja vu, for those of you who were watching the sunset safari yesterday. Just slightly less of the Impala left, with the cubs to grab. And you see the way her tongue stretched out there as it swung away, trying to maintain as much contact as possible. I'm sorry for those of you that have slightly sensitive stomachs. I know that this is probably not all that easy for you to watch. There we go. The X-ear. Oh. Nearly. Sorry. Bear with me one moment. I'm just going to chat to Andrew. Morning, Andrew. How are you? Good, thanks. Karula's gone off into the shade somewhere by that knobthorn. So she's around. Yeah. Cool. Are you okay there?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, cool. Sure. That was well saved. Shungilia nearly went tumbling out of the tree head first. I do often wonder how often these cubs have actually fallen out of trees. I know it happens. I've seen leopards fall before. Well, not fall out. I've seen them catch themselves on branches. But I wonder how many times leopard cubs fall out. They have that cat-like ability to actually catch themselves. One on top, one below. How long do you think before Hosanna muscles in on breakfast? Or is he going to be well behaved and wait his turn? He's got such a serious face. Oh, she's lying back down again. Never mind. While we're looking at Hosanna, Michael, you wanted to know at what age will Hosanna be bigger than his mother? You're right. I think he is going to be a big boy. Although Karula has produced, just generally, she's produced some large males. But just bear with me one moment. I think we're going to need to reposition Michael before I answer your question, just so that I can make some space for. Oh, never mind. Going the other way. Cool. I don't have to go anywhere. I think you're right. I think he's going to be big. And I think he's going to live up to quarantine standards of size. Quarantine's massive for a 4-year-old male. I would say he's probably going to be taller and bigger than his mom. At least taller than his mom. Probably by about 12 months old, give or take. His feet are already the same size, if not even slightly larger. So that would be my guess. 12 months old. Maybe even younger. He's growing very, very quickly. But we'll see. He's not going to reach her weight as fast as he will her height. Because they go through that, like all animals, go through that gangly stage. And you'll have to fill out. So while Hosanna debates whether or not it's worth trying to climb up and feed with his sister, let's head across to Brent for an update.
So I got so distracted by the cuckoos.
Oh, sorry.
That's not a cuckoo, Brian. I forgot to chat about the coffee. And probably most places that you think to when you mention the word coffee, and I'm going to have my last sip. Yum. Is Brazil, Portugal, Italy. Now the interesting thing is that there were thought to be 2 species of coffee. Arabica and Robusta. It turns out Arabica is actually a version of Robusta that's been separated for a little bit. So all coffee has its origin in Africa, and more specifically in the highlands of Ethiopia. So all coffee, Brazilian coffee, Italian coffee, Portuguese coffee, all originally comes from Africa. And it spread. I'm trying to think. I can't remember dates at the moment, but from the Arab traders. Now, they've been trading with Africa for thousands of years, literally thousands of years. And one of the more interesting facts about that is that Goa in India is one of the more famous ports, and especially during that time because the Arabs and the Chinese were sailing around the world in vast distances far before the Europeans ever did. Now, interesting enough, the Chinese discovered America, not Christopher Columbus. And if you want to be, the Vikings even got to America before Christopher Columbus. Oh, excuse me, my coffee's coming back. But, where was that? Oh, Goa, India. Now, for me, it's fascinating. You can go to Goa and you can speak Swahili. And in the markets, the trading markets there, Swahili is one of the languages conversed. And to this day, dhows from the east coast of Africa cross the Indian Ocean to Goa. With spices is probably their main export. And from Zanzibar, Mafia, Pemba, the islands off the east coast of Africa. So I think it's absolutely incredible. Now, I've spent quite a lot of time in East Africa and along the coastal belt of East Africa. So the major ports of today are, of course, Dar es Salaam and Mombasa and Puntland, although you don't want to go to Puntland. Brian, why do you not want to go to Puntland?
I don't know.
Because you will be taken hostage by the Somali pirates and ransomed. And none of us want to be ransomed. I don't think it's ideal being ransomed. And so, but historically, the 2 main ports. So Dar es Salaam is quite an interesting one because it's actually a fabricated port, a fabricated city, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So it was Kilwa, and Kilwa is on the south coast of Tanzania, and there's some famous ruins in Kenya that are far more well known, even though Kilwa is actually a much bigger set of ruins. So if any of you have heard of the city of Gede, Geddes, Gede, and that is around a wonderful part of the world called Watamu in Kenya. And there's this incredible old city, and I mean seriously sophisticated for the time. It's, if I remember correctly, it started around 2,000 years ago, and was very prominent up until about 400 years ago. And Kilwa is even bigger. It's a much bigger complex. So those were and Mombasa. Mombasa was always a main port, and of course Zanzibar as well. So the Omani Arabs from Oman, they had Zanzibar was their city. So it was a sultanate. So it was actually part of them. Now I'm getting sidetracked again. So we're saying about those main cities, and sorry, apparently Aubrey is trying to get hold of me. Let me I turned my radio off. Aubrey? Orbs, were you looking for me?
No, how far from the gentleman is it? Being close to the exit or taken from Sandy Patch North?
I turned Sandy Patch North.
Okay, going down the check from close to the gate.
Copy, thanks. So Orbs is just checking where I've checked, so he doesn't double check the roads that I've already done. And where were we now? Kilwa, Gede, Mombasa, Goa. Now I've got to get my train of thought back. What was I talking about, Brian?
Somalian pirates.
No, but that was earlier. Okay, let's think. Yes, Zanzibar, Sultanate, the major ports. So, strangely enough, a lot of the spices that Zanzibar and the East African islands are incredibly famous for are, of course, not indigenous. So, cinnamon and nutmeg and all that were actually imported from the proper spice islands, Jakarta and Indonesia and that. And in that Goan market, they actually moved through and were planted on Zanzibar and stuff, and it turned out that the climate there was very good, or pretty much perfect to grow those. So there's been an incredible trade in Africa long before the Europeans arrived, and I think, if I remember correctly, that and the Chinese, obviously they were heavily involved in this trade. Now, I don't know if a lot of you know this, but as I said, the Chinese got to North America long before the Europeans did, and 1430, around there. And one of the most interesting things is that maize, or corn, was actually mostly spread around the world by the Chinese. Brought to Africa by the Chinese, brought to North America by the Chinese. So very, very interesting. Now, I'm still rambling because now I've completely lost my original train of thought. But on that note, we still can't find any cuckoos. Yes, coffee is where it all started. Okay, so coffee was exported from Geddes, Kilwa, Zanzibar by the Arab Dhow traders, probably as early as they reckon, probably early as 2,000 years ago. And there we go. So the two, Arabica and Robusta, all come from Robusta. And Final Control says, my coffee's made me a chatty Cathy. I think I'm always a chatty Cathy. Anyway, stop distracting me, Final Control. I'm trying to finish the coffee story. Okay, so as I said, it's been spread throughout the world, and the Chinese actually got it from the Arab traders, and that whole coffee culture in the world started in Africa, and probably the most ritualistic of the coffee cultures is from North Africa into the Middle East, and that has been going on for many thousands of years. Now, of course, the reason being coffee is a stimulant that makes me a chatty Cathy, apparently. But yeah, so it's fascinating. And can you believe that those Arab traders even came down probably as far as where we are now? And the only reason I can say that is, of course, when you're traveling, you need snacks. Who travels without snacks? These days we have sweeties and crisps and things like that. But the Arab traders in those days weren't so lucky to have sweeties. So their sweeties were fruit normally. Preserved figs and preserved tamarind. Now, tamarind is the most fascinating tree. It is indigenous to India. It is now indigenous to Africa, especially the east coast of Africa. Probably, as I said, for about the last 2,000 years. So while the Arab traders were walking, they would suck on the tamarind seeds, which are very nice, and spit them out as they went. And on all the major trade routes, the closest major trade route to us is probably about 100 kilometers to the north along the Limpopo River. There are tamarind trees. So they have grown and propagated. East Africa is full of them. Obviously, there's been a permanent presence in East Africa for quite a long time. Now, the reason I say that the Arab traders actually got this far south is on the Sand River, and of course most of the trade routes follow rivers because of water. So on the Sand River, probably about, not that far from us, less than 10, 15 kilometers, maybe 10 to 15 kilometers away, there is one fig tree. So tamarind and dried figs were two of the favorite traveling snacks of the Arab businessman, the Arab trader who was working in Africa. So on the edge of the Sand River, there's a fig tree that confuses many a safari guide. Now, it is a Zanzibar fig. So obviously that has been brought by an Arab trader, and he was eating his figs as he went along, and he threw them out or spat out the seeds, or he had a bad one that didn't taste so good and he chucked it out. And there's a Zanzibar fig growing on the banks of the Sand River. Now, the closest Zanzibar fig naturally occurring in big numbers is in Tanzania. So amazing. And I'm going to do this very quickly. So there's a mountain range that comes into the northern Kruger called the Soutpansberg, and that's on the edge of the Limpopo, so another big trading route. So there are quite a few Zanzibar figs and tamarinds on that route, and of course there was gold and all sorts of stuff there, and that's why they went there. But let me not keep you away from the leopards with Jamie.
You know, Brent and myself had exactly the same cup of coffee this morning, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but it sounds as though he is full of beans this morning and very, very talkative, from what I understand, talking lots about coffee. Well, at least our leopard cubs have been imitating Brent. Perhaps they've had some of his magic coffee as well, and are still, well, Hasane is now feeding off the Impala carcass. Funnily enough, he's even reinforced the knot that his sister made with the skin. It is now thoroughly wrapped around that branch. I don't think that Impala is going anywhere, which is good, but also somewhat tricky, because it means that it's almost impossible for him to get to the meaty part of what is left, and all that's left really is the muscles of the neck. But at least he's managed to have a little bit of a chance to snack on some breakfast. That seems to be the chosen position, though he hasn't mastered the use of the outward limb in the same way his sister has. And he's still pretty balanced. He's found himself a good spot. And just by the way, I think most of you will have noticed this, but for those of you that haven't, Hosana has a nick out of his left ear. Oh, of course you would turn your head that way, wouldn't you, mister? Look at him using his tail for balance. I'll show you when he moves his head again. Look at the way that he's positioned himself. Massive feet. I think you're right. I think he's going to be a big boy. Doesn't want you to look at his feet, Dave. Okay. What I was going to say about the nick in his left ear, which he's now turned away from us, is that it is going to be there for the rest of his life. So we'll always be able to identify him. Well, we will always be able to identify him relatively easily, but that nick is going to be there for the rest of his life, and an easy identifying feature if perhaps we just happen to see the back of his head one day when he's much, much older and dispersing. It's such a bittersweet moment, I suppose, when leopard cubs move out of their mother's territory, especially for us, because we've got the traverse area that we do. It's restricted. I mean, there's certain places that we can't go. And there's the knowledge that he could one day move away from us completely in the same way Kunuma has done. But we've got a long time to go before we get to that stage, and he's still got lots and lots of growing to do. There you can see the nick every time there we go. Just a little nick out of the top. And that could have been from anything, could even have been from his sister. I said that they pull their punches when they fight, but that doesn't mean that they don't occasionally accidentally on purpose injure each other when things get a little bit too heated. Yum. Not my choice of breakfast, but Hosana is definitely enjoying it. Okay, I want to just move so that I can give Andrew our position. What we'll do is we'll go and spend a little bit of time with the Queen as well, I think, and her daughter. They've moved off into the shade. So I'm going to move so that Andrew can come and sit here. Our Stendrick, who is a new viewer, welcome to our live safaris. I hope you've been enjoying this. I'm sorry if the sight of the dead impala maybe made you feel a little queasy, but you wanted to know why the eyes are gouged out of the impala's skull. That's one of the first things to go when animals start to feed, whether it be mammalian predators like leopards or lions, or whether it is birds of prey. The eyes are the easiest. They're soft and they're easy to get out. And they do have nutrition within them. And of course there's all kinds of blood vessels around the eye, the retina and so on. So for all of the animals out here, they are one of the first things to go. That, and when they do open up the carcass, the stomach contents. Right, where did they go? Somewhere around here. I saw Andrew looking at them. Dave? Am I being blind? While they're behind a bush. Aha! Sure, my eye just picked up something. It's amazing how quickly and easily they disappear from view. Just want to make sure I'm not driving too... Aha, I see you. No wonder I couldn't see her before. It's just spots. Spots through the trees. Okay, let's reposition for a slightly better view. The cubs have monopolized our attention this morning. It would be nice to spend a little bit of time with their mom and the Queen. What's going on? It was a very strange sound. She rushes back in. What was that about? Did he drop the carcass? He can't have. How would he have done that? No way, I think he did. I think he did drop the carcass. No wonder Karula got up so fast. Let's just reposition quickly. As I said, let's move on. Of course. Yep, he's dropped it. I don't know how he untangled it. I don't know how he managed that. But he dropped it. Just checking, I don't know where Shungile is. I just need to be careful. You can't really rush around a leopard sighting if you haven't accounted for all of them. Luckily, Bob's always on hand to sort out Mister's messes. How did he even untie that? Now I understand what the strange sound was. It was the cries of dismay from the guests in the other vehicle. Oh, she's going up, she's going up, she's going up, she's going up. Oh. She's going back, she's going back, she's going back. She's confiscated it. Sorry, I'm going to have to turn around again. That was not what I predicted she was going to do. Right, well, if you can't look after your things, I'm confiscating them. I'm taking them away from you. In the meantime... Oh, poor Mom. She's going to go up this tree now. Perhaps it's a better option. Yep, I think she's going to hoist it into that tree. Sorry, Dave, but I don't want to reposition now in case we missed it. Or miss it. I know, girl. Kids, huh? She's just gathering her strength for a moment. She's got such a full belly that a lot of stuff is a lot of effort right now. Which way are you going to take it, my girl? That expression of exasperation. I think she's just trying to find a good way of holding it to take it up the tree. Or maybe she's trying to decide whether or not it's actually worth the effort. Only for the little ones to knock it down. Hardly anything left. I do think she's going to hoist it, though. She's just gathering her momentum. Where did the little... Oh, here comes the responsible party. Okay. I think she's decided, nope. Our Mom's just made life easier for you, hasn't she? She's just decided, never mind, I'll leave it on the ground so you can feed on it. Okay, so while Hosanna tucks into the much easier to feed off carcass, let's go across to another creature that also has spots but isn't nearly so short.
Well, the killer bees are in a killer mood, and we're killing to crack a record or two. So there we go, a beautiful female giraffe looking at us through her long lashes. Oh no, it's gone, Brian. Is it still there? There. It was there. Okay, that's fine. We'll come back. But I think, what is the record, Brian? I think it's 6 or 7. Can you see it move? There we go. See the branch? No, that's wind. Oh no, there we go. You see that movement there? That's a giraffe. You're just going to have to take our word for it. Okay. 1, 2 giraffes. Now let us... So I think the record is 6 or 7. I can't remember. Can you remember, Brian? 7. Let us know. Apparently it is 7, but if you've seen more than 7 giraffes, let me know. Hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV. So we've got 2, 3, 4. There we go. There's 2, 3, 4. Let's go forward. 5. And we're going to keep going forward. We're on 5 giraffe. Can we break the magical 7? Do you think we can do it, Brian?
I think we can.
Oh, you think we can? I have a suspicion we might, because I can see more than the camera can see. And on the road in front of us is number 6. Is it? 1, or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Walking through the bush there is... Oh no, it's another one of those. We can see it there through the bush. Number 7. And now let's move a little bit further forward. The record is broken. Number 8. Now the question is, how much can we break the record by? Number 8. Let's keep going. I think we're going to smash the record. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. 9 and 10. And if you look carefully, 11. Could we do more than 11? Is it possible? Number 12. And I know there's 13 and 14 somewhere as well, but we can't see them at the moment. But this is definitely by far the biggest ever journey of giraffe we have ever seen on Safari Lives. And it's just thrilling. I know there's some serious giraffe fans out there, and isn't this incredible? I've definitely not seen this many giraffe. Now, like the reason we've been seeing so many buffalo is that 30 millimeters of rain we had a while ago, where the rest of the Sabi sands had 2. So everything is moving here. The buffalo, the giraffe. It's very exciting. There we go. Quite a few young males, but also quite a few females. Oh no! Brian! Is that number 13? It is too. So there's actually 14 and 15 up the road. So there's 15 giraffe in this journey. And it looks like they all got tummy problems because they're all eating tamburti. Oh, yellow-billed oxpecker. Oh, look at that. The rarest of the 2 oxpecker species, the yellow-billed oxpecker, who looks like a lady who's put too much lipstick on before going out on a night on the town. Obviously, the oxpecker is on a morning on a giraffe, not quite the night on the town. And it is the biggest of the 2 oxpecker species. Oh. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? The camel lazy horse. Oh, there's the yellow-billed oxpecker again. No, not the camel lazy horse. It's the camel horse. Sorry about that. Kameelpaard is the Afrikaans name for a giraffe, a camel horse. Oh, look at that. Really does look like it's put. Oh, it's got a bit of hair. Now it's flown off. Now what it's done is oxpeckers do this quite often. I'm just trying to see where they fly. This could be very fascinating. So it's taken some tufts of hair from the giraffe. Oh, look at the scratches on that one. That one survived a lion attack. That's on the side. So there's a lion on top of that giraffe trying to hold on for dear life. Quite a long time ago. Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked. So that oxpecker has taken some tufts of hair from the giraffe. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I offend you? Why are you running all of a sudden? That was quite strange. From 15 giraffe to none. Literally, there were 15 giraffe. Now there's not one. But, oh no, there's one. 2. So as I was saying, so that oxpecker's taken tufts of hair to line their nest. And they do that from quite a few species they feed off. And not only does the giraffe provide a meal of ticks, it also provides a lovely nest lining for those oxpeckers. So it looks like those yellow-billed oxpeckers are actually nesting quite close by. And they flew into the block just to the west of us. Now, isn't that wonderful? 15 giraffe. I think I don't know if we're going to be able to beat that record. That's quite a record, Brian. And of course, the one thing that is eluding us this morning, they haven't even called once, is the cuckoos. There we go. And the giraffe are moving off. Oh. There's some young males play fighting. Let me go back. No, don't stop on our cord, gentlemen. It is the rare two-headed giraffe of the Sabi Sands. There we go. Boom. Little nudge on the bottom. Now, of course, these guys are too young to really be fighting seriously over females. Oh, he's got an itchy tummy. I'm sorry about the light. It's just unfortunate where they say, look, he's got his leg up. Scratch, scratch. There you go. Thank you, Brian. So they were play fighting. They've now stopped. Oh, they are such unique looking animals. Oh. It looked like the male at the back was about to mount the male in front. Now, things that are often considered quite taboo in human culture are quite common in animals, such as incest, and quite often quite a few animals display what one would call sort of homosexual tendencies. Now, in a lot of cases with animals, it's actually a dominance display. So there's no actual attraction, and they do tend to get excited when doing it, but what it is, it's a dominance display, proving which male is more dominant. And it's quite common in giraffe, elephants, male lions. Even buffalo. Oh, hello. These two young males are just playing. Oh, I hope you guys are getting a screenshot of that. That is absolutely gorgeous, Brian. I'm picking up my camera quickly, so if you hear clickety-click, or many clickety-clicks, it's just such an interesting pose. Okay, oh, there comes the classic two-headed giraffe. Exquisite. This is definitely the best giraffe sighting I've had in a long time. Oh, here comes another male. Are we going to get the rare three-headed giraffe? There we go, there's some of that necking display, but very, very gentle compared to what it can be. Debbie is wondering, is this a family group of giraffe? Are they all related? If not, why would they gather like this? There's a possibility that the young males are more than likely not related. They're from different females, but the females in the group also possibly related, but more than likely not. Giraffes gather in big groups for a couple of reasons. One is protection, the more eyes to spot oncoming predators such as lions. But in this case, I think the reason we're getting all the giraffe, 15 of them in total, around here is because of resources. So with a little bit of rain, the more rain we've had here than in other places in the Sabi Sands, the giraffe have been attracted to this area because there's an abundance of food, and we're getting this big group because they're all utilizing the same. Oh, there we go. There's the mounting male, the dominance display. It's going to happen again. Oh no, he's moving his bottom. He doesn't want to get mounted. Oh, then you'll get a neck. Here we go. That's what we were waiting for. So this is very soft giraffe fighting. Now, when big dominant males are actually fighting over females, the smack of that head hitting the other giraffe can be heard for up to 2 kilometers away. Let's just listen to see if we can hear the thud of these two. Did you hear that, Brian? It's like a deep doom. Missed. Good sidestep. And when you watch them fight, you can understand why there's that build-up of scar tissue on their foreheads, that massive bump. As you can see, sometimes the horns don't quite connect and they hit them with their face or hit each other. But these guys are quite young and this is not very serious. It's practice. It's very graceful, the giraffe fight. It's almost like a form of ballet. Notice no oxpeckers on them while they're dancing. The one on the right's not so interested, but very similar aged, probably about 5 or 6 years old. Little nudge. Let's see. I think the one on the right is either going to get irritated and swing back or move away. Oh, he tripped over a branch. Silly one. Oh, look at that. So graceful. Okay, the one on the right says, I have enough of this. No, he's coming back. Maybe he's going to come back for a swing. He seems more interested in watching us. And you can see he's bigger, and a little bit bigger than the one that was initiating. There we go, he's over it. He's walking away. So from one of the tallest, or actually not one of the tallest animal in the African bush to one of the shortest.